Now, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi has just cast his vote. Let's listen what he's got to say.
Cast your ballot. Tell us about how you feel about today's event.
For me, this is very exciting. For the reason that I see so many young people so enthusiastic about voting. I mean, that actually strengthens my hope for the future of the country as an elder. It gives me hope for the country to see the young people who are actually suffering more than anyone at present because of unemployment and so on. They're being enthusiastic because some even advocate, I mean, they even encourage people not to vote and so on.
Are you optimistic that the eNCA Freedom Party would fare well in these particular rounds of elections? We know that you have been making quite a comeback in KwaZulu-Natal with the recent by-elections that have been taking place, especially last year.
Actually, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't well, because in the last local government elections we did very well. And I think that, from my point of view, our leader, Mr. Sabisa, and all the leaders, including myself, have done everything that should have been done as far as campaigning is concerned. So that now we leave that to the voters. But I'm not a leader who indulges in prophecies, saying that we'll do well and so on. Because I don't know. I wish I knew. I would tell you.
Nqobile from eNCA. I just want to know, people have been complaining about service delivery in the area. Service delivery in the area. Do you feel that IFP is going to do something different if they get this vote?
Actually, I'm a member of parliament. I know that in the budget, municipalities have got very little money. Money is what you call is actually less. I mean, for instance, for actually a thing like in Devon, in Devon, they've got this place where people actually go to rest and so on. I mean, they have a budget of 300 million, whereas municipalities got less because our country is in dire straits. That is the truth of the matter. So they've been getting less and less money as far as this is concerned. But as far as the municipality is concerned, the local municipality, I think they've done their best. In fact, they got an award just recently, although I can't remember what it's called, from government, for doing well. So I don't see, when people complain, of course, they have a right to complain, because in fact it's true. We do have problems, with service delivery generally. But we must understand that the country is in dire straits. Our country is in very serious trouble, And when less and less amounts are given to municipalities who are at the coalface, then you should not be surprised if municipalities cannot give as much service delivery as we expect from them.
Nqobile from the SABC. Are you at all satisfied with how the Electoral Commission has been running these elections so far?
Well, I think there have been glitches as far as this is concerned. I mean, there have been complaints, which of course have been forwarded to the IEC. But apart from that, I really don't think that I can complain about the IEC.
One question, Ndwana. For anyone who has not voted at this moment for the IFP, particularly in Zululand, why should they go out and vote for the IFP?
I think that there's been one thing that I've first emphasized in the election, that I don't believe in giving promises to people. I mean, insulting the intelligence of people that if you vote me, I'll do this and that. I say we should trust us, because we ran a government here prior to our democratic time, the KwaZulu government, and there was not a whiff of corruption. And then later, in 1994, we also won, the IFP won this, province under Dr. Mdalosi, Dr. Ngubane, Dr. Mtali. There was not a whiff of corruption. So that, to answer your question, the people who say why they should have seen what our record speaks for itself. American Premiums and El Dorado, which is from people like to do.
Usually people are very reluctant to vote during municipal elections. Why is local government, sphere of local government, is so important in the government?
In fact, local government is more important than any other level of government. You should take national government, provincial government, because they're at the coalface, you know. I mean, they're the ones that you have direct contact with the people, and that people can contact. I mean, when there is anything wrong, they have someone that they've elected, you know, who represents them, who can pass on their grievances if they have any, or their tribulation if they are happy with the services. So, local government is more important than, to me, even though I'm in the national parliament, is more important than any other level of government.
Prince, what do you make of the disruptions that we have observed in these elections, particularly here in KwaZulu-Natal? We know that in Mangosuthu there was a protest that resulted in a police officer being being shot at, and also there are threats in the area of Camperdown, where some people associated with traditional leadership there are saying that people in that area should not go and exercise their democratic right to vote.
You know, the provincial government actually set up the Morane Commission, and they discovered that most of the trouble here was intra-party problem. In other words, that the ruling party itself has more problems of that. I don't say IFE consists of a group of angels, but I'll just say that most of the trouble, this thing of intra-party, is happening more in the ruling party. And actually, as someone who grew up in the African National Congress and whose party is structured in the ideals of the African National Congress as propounded by the founding fathers in 1912, I would say that there are many things that make me disappointed, because the ANC is our oldest party, not only in this country, but in Africa itself. But then I see incidents where people kill each other because they want to get places to elected as candidates, either as councillor or whatever. I really cry for my country. I think it's one thing that worries me. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, as I've said, as you know, that I grew up in the African National Congress. At one time, the policy which came from the African National Congress mission in exile, led by Mr. Tambo, actually said as policy that the country must be made ungovernable. And at the time, I was involved in the ANC, and I tried to warn. I said, comrades, if we make the country ungovernable, it will be ungovernable even when we're in charge of it. So I'm afraid that this has become a prophecy almost now because of what has happened. I mean, the Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal was trashed, and the thing arose out of divisions in the ruling party itself. I mean, why, for instance, should people are protesting in this country, why should they then go and burn down buildings? As a black person, I feel very ashamed myself when people protest, which is their right, which is their democratic right, then they go on, into violence after that. But I want to stress and emphasize that I always mentioned, tried to warn, while I was in the ANC, that to make the country ungovernable, to make the township ungovernable, I said it was a very dangerous thing, because even when we were in charge of the country, because a black government is in charge, that will continue. I think that's the source of the trouble, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi has in fact voted. He's done, Bradan. You saw it from the beginning as he walked in. The system was a bit slow, but it seems they were able to finish with him shortly after that. So he has done. He has spoken to us about all sorts of things, saying that he's quite ashamed of what had happened in KZN and in Gauteng, as you can hear there, as he speaks to the media. A lot to say, but he says that he does say that there are issues under the IFP areas where they are in charge of. He says because there's less money, that's why service delivery has been an issue. And of course, as he says, it's very important for every single person to go out there and cast their votes.
Thank you very much. Nqobile Madlala there in Ulundi. We have had the words of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.